It's an interpretation of Christian faith through the poor's suffering, their struggle and hope, and a critique of society and Christianity through the eyes of the poor. Only by being able to see through the eyes of those on the lowest rung in the pyramid scheme that we're in now can we ever hope to have the kind of brotherhood and empathy that is desired in an anarchist society. There have been landless worker movements in Brazil for the past 4 years. What basically happened was land was taken away, they took it back. The church wasn't in support of that. They didn't have that much clergy to begin with, so laity began running everything, which provided for a sense of camaraderie and a sense a newfound sense of freedom. There are over 80,000 base communities now operating in Brazil alone. I'm also wanting to talk about playing with sexual roles and sexuality and how sexuality has been co-opted by society. No longer, we have come so far, I can say myself as a homosexual, our community has come far and we made great strides, but at the same time now we are being turned towards consumerism and capitalism and brainwashing, and it brainwashes us into thinking that either we're a Will who is a lawyer, or we're the party boy, or we are this, or we are that. First, we broke out of these gender roles, and we said, okay, here we are, we're queer, get used to it. And then they said, well, you're here, you're queer, and you need to be filed into these sections so we can understand you. And no longer is that accepted. I can't agree with conservative homosexuals. It doesn't make sense to me. The homosexuals who are demanding marriage and demanding the American dream and demanding all of these things from a society that never wanted us in it in the first place. Anarchists demand freedom in everything, also in sexuality. Homosexuality leads to a healthy sense of egoism for which every anarchist should strive. Also, the kingdom of God on earth consists in this, that all men should be at peace with one another. As we live, bear no malice. Love one another without reference to nationality. Unity with others cannot be shut off by gender, by a frontier, by a governmental decree, anything that decides that I belong to this nation or anything. I know that all men everywhere are brothers and equals. True welfare is possible for me only on the condition that I would recognize my unity with the whole world. I cannot recognize states or peoples, take no part in quarrels between peoples or states. I cannot take part in taxes or manufacturing arms for war. I am to obey God rather than laws of man.
You said a few words about Bertrand Russell, actually. I would like to say a few words about him myself. Summer of last year, I was at McKay's and I was just looking for books on history, and I found one. I recognized the name on the book, but I didn't realize who it was at the time. I mean, I had heard the name, so I was like, okay, Bertrand Russell. And it was Understanding History is the name of the book, and I read through the first part of it. It was kind of over my head, all these events in history he's trying to describe, but the next part called The Value, it's an essay called The Value of Free Thought. It's in there. And basically, he tries to set kind of a definition of what free thought would be. And basically, he just says that it's you're free from the force of tradition and from the the thinking pattern of your elders, pretty much. And he goes on to explain how Protestantism and how the developments of religions that have made it more human and make it so that okay, so you're not necessarily going to go to hell, you might go to purgatory first, making it softer and more easy for people to accept. Basically, he was saying that a lot of the people now that make arguments against being an atheist, or if they say that, oh well, if you don't believe what we believe now, then you're going to go to hell. basically he said what they believe, what people believe now, they don't realize a lot of the time that it was based, or the reason why they believe what they believe now is because of the actions of dissidents in the past who challenged the authority of the people who were saying, no, this is the way it is. So that's how we got, Protestantism, things like that, and religion. And see, one part, I'm going to try to, I think I'm quoting mostly, but I'm going to have to paraphrase it because it's from memory. He made a really good point. This is, if someone starting from the first principles of reason were able to deduce that from a definition of benevolence, that a benevolent deity will subject an infant to eternal damnation if it dies before someone sprinkles water on its head to the accompaniment of certain magic words, they will have to be regarded as satisfying our definition of a free thinker. And I mean, it's true, because if you started from the first principles of reason, that would, I guess, technically be true, but you can't. And then later in that same section, he explains if people stop to think about it, they'll realize that there's nothing that has been believed always, everywhere, and by everybody. I mean, systems of ideology change over time, and it's a really good way to look at history if you think about how, okay, we're just in one stage of the development of our belief systems, or our way of conceiving of reality or the world or politics or whatever. I mean, we're 20,000 years from now, people, if humanity still exists, I mean, maybe it won't, maybe it will. The way things are going now, it may not. But people in the future, when they look back on the way we are now, they might not see us much differently from the way we see people from like 3,000 or 4,000 years ago, thinking they're so, uncivilized or primitive compared to us. I mean, we're just, the next step in the evolution of thinking. It's healthy to see yourself or your society and humanity in general at this stage in history as, not being anywhere near, the ultimate truth or anything like that.